Hi everybody, I'm Trish Christ. In this episode of Our Nashville, NECAT and our super crew of teenagers spend some time with Special Olympics Tennessee. Vice President Joe Drumright and her colleagues are going to show and tell us all the cool things they do in our community. Are you ready, Joe?
Yes.
Are you ready, super crew?
Yes.
Let's make the show.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
It's our Nashville.
C'est notre Nashville.
We all know how to talk about our organization during meetings, but what about the chance encounter of a lifetime? You never know who may share your next elevator, notice your logo on a notebook or a tote bag, and ask what you do. What's the clearest, most persuasive thing you can say in a short elevator ride?
Special Olympic is a worldwide organization. We're in over 180 different countries across the world.
Wow.
And what we do is we provide year-round sports training and competitions for individuals with intellectual disabilities. We begin at the age 8, and there is no upper age limit.
You are Special Olympics Tennessee, so does that mean from Mountain City to Memphis, the full?
Mountain City to Memphis. We have 36 individual programs across the state. We call them area programs. Now some of those area programs are individual counties, like Davidson County, or Sumner County, or Marshall County, but then some of them are 14 counties, like our Area 9, which is what we call the Upper Cumberland region, which encompasses everything from Sparta to north of Cookeville.
And tell me about the sort of overall structure of the Special Olympics organization. Is there kind of a mothership that every state's chapter or every state's organization reports to?
Yes, there is a mothership, and Eunice Kennedy Shriver drove that ship. So it is an international program, and underneath the international program there are 7 regions around the world. Within each one of those regions there are sub-regions. Special Olympics Tennessee falls under the North America region, which includes Canada, the United States, the Caribbean, Mexico, and several of the little islands out and about the Caribbean.
Love it.
Yeah.
This is a lot of athletes we're talking about.
Yeah, several million around the world. Yeah, here in Tennessee, where I just finished the census for Tennessee for our international reporting, and we're sitting in right at 17,000 for Tennessee right now. We are year-round, and any time during the year, a calendar year, there are over 275 local events taking place in the state of Tennessee. And that can be anything from an aquatics meet to a track and field meet to basketball to tennis to alpine skiing to snowboarding, ice skating. It's nonstop.
What were the initial tenets of Special Olympics? When did it start? Where did it start? What was the drive in the beginning?
Eunice Kennedy Shriver started it. She had a sister with an intellectual disability. She started a camp in her backyard in the early 60s. And then
in the States?
In the States, yeah. I think it was in Massachusetts. But anyway, she was very athletic. Her whole family was athletic. And her sister would participate in some events in the backyard with them, but though she wouldn't. She had this drive and this passion working with young people and people with with intellectual disabilities that think, they can run, they can swim, they can jump, they can shoot a basketball. And so she started these camps in her backyard. Her children grew up in the camps. And she hosted the very first Special Olympics event in Chicago at Soldiers Field. She set up an international event. We actually had some athletes at Tennessee participated in that in 1968. And that was the catalyst. It started from there. It started with one event, one dream, one vision, and just getting people to get behind her and say, yeah, we can make a difference. These people have value. Individuals with intellectual disabilities are assets to this world, and they have a lot to give.
Why sports? Why do sports matter?
Sports is a catalyst for many things. It engages people. It creates teamwork. It creates individual respect. They earn a place to be part of a team. It encourages individual encouragement and advancement. You have an individual athlete that may be an aquatics athlete who, when first started, maybe could barely swim across the pool. And through sport, they learn the strokes, they learn about training, they learn about competition, and they become successful. Now they're swimming 25 meters, 50 meters, 200 meters. They're not just swimming freestyle, but now they're swimming the backstroke and the butterfly. So our goal is to teach individuals with intellectual disabilities sport, and not just running around a track once a year. It's, like I said, 12 months out of the year, every day of the year.
My name is Andrew Martin. I was a Special Olympics athlete for approximately 10 years as a swimmer. I participated in the 2018 USA Olympic Games in Seattle, and I'm currently an SOTN intern. My first experience would definitely be, I believe it was 6th grade, because I was on some medication that was causing my weight to fluctuate terribly. So we needed to find an activity to negate that, but due to my disability, which is cerebral palsy, by the way, due to my disability, it was kind of hard because I didn't fit in. Like, I couldn't do regular baseball, regular not that I wanted to do football, but regular football. I couldn't participate in those things. So I knew the area director for my local area, and she got me involved with the swimming program, and I've fallen in love ever since. We trained 1 day a week at our local facility for about an hour, and then, I don't know, I'd say quarterly we would have an event, either that would cycle through a list of events like a Sportsplex in Nashville, or maybe Innsworth High School, or I think today for the state event they're at the Williamson County Rec Center, which is about 15 minutes away. Yeah, so we would just train and get ready, do some laps. I enjoy coaching a lot. I enjoy seeing other people progress and learn a skill that's just awesome to me. It's really hard to put in words, I guess.
I was at a big sporting event recently with young people, and I saw the range of emotion from the winners, from the team that didn't win the games. Tell me about what you see in an athlete's face when he feels he has succeeded, and what you see in an athlete's face when he feels like maybe he didn't do his best that day.
You're absolutely right. There is a range of emotions, and not just with the athlete, but amongst the coaches and the families also. We are a family when we get together. An athlete, an individual athlete, whether he be on a basketball team or on the track team, to have the opportunity to be like his peers, or just to have an opportunity to get out there and shine. On the track, it might be his first time on the track, but he runs the race and he finishes. He might not finish first, he might not finish last, but he finishes. And that's the success. The success isn't winning the ribbons and the medals. The success is in the personal achievement that each of the athletes experience. And that's where the joy comes in. You can see it on their faces. They cheer for each other. There could be a winning team on the basketball team, and you'll see them sitting in the stands cheering for the opponent that they just competed against.
Nice.
There's high fives and hugs all around.
Nice. Special Olympics has another element that I wasn't aware of until recently. It's called unified sports. What an interesting concept this is. Tell us about what unified sports means.
Unified sports is one of my passions. Unified sports brings together individuals with and without intellectual disabilities on the same playing field. We have a program called Unified Champion Schools, and what we are doing is we are engaging youth leaders within the schools to be inclusive of each and every individual. They're working together on the student council. They're sitting together in the lunchroom. They're playing unified sports. We're creating youth leaders for tomorrow that will create an inclusive world throughout our communities.
My name is Nancy Benningfield, and I'm a co-area director for the Upper Cumberland region at Special Olympics Tennessee. And I share the responsibilities with my teaching partner, Jill McCulley. We organize all the events for the Upper Cumberland, and we probably have 200 to 300 athletes that compete at different levels and at different times of the year, depending on what their abilities are and if they choose to do it. Unified is where you take, well, for instance, I work in a high school, and so I have peers that come in my class, regular ed students that come in my class, and they kind of mentor my students, and they sit with them, they help them with their work. They might eat lunch with them. They go on trips with us, like to bowling, and they help. They help us. They're scorekeepers. They're ribbon people. These high school kids do everything. They practically run the event. We do all the paperwork, and those teenagers do everything else. Well, our kids get to know them. Well, then they become unified. We may have a unified bocce or unified volleyball. We have a unified basketball and unified flag football. I forgot about that one. But we have these peers, and they participate with our athletes. Basketball, you have 2 partners and 3 athletes on the floor. So they all help each other, and it's just the camaraderie and the team. That whole emphasis is just even bigger when that happens. And White County High School, where I teach at, has just become a unified champion school. And that's a new thing for Tennessee. We were one of the first ones to be asked, and we were honored because we've been doing this peer unified thing all these years, didn't really know what we're doing. We were just trying to get relationships started in our school with our students. So we're a unified champion school now, and that means that we have more unified opportunities.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but individuals with disabilities have the greatest disparity in health care and access to health care. Special Olympics provides free health screenings in several disciplines, everything from eye screenings to hearing to dental work to podiatry work to general health education. We just started a new program called Strong Minds. It's not a counseling program, but it helps individuals overcome anxiety, or say you have an athlete that didn't like losing that tennis match, and we give them options as to how to deal with that experience of maybe not coming out on top. But yeah, they're free health screenings. We are changing the health world amongst individuals with disabilities. We're saving lives. We're detecting health issues during our screenings that indicated that there's a serious problem, and now we can follow up on it, get them the care they need. Some of them have never even seen a doctor before, for many reasons, whether it be geographic, financial, health insurance, fear of the medical world. So we're overcoming a lot of that, and we're providing better health care. We're providing healthier athletes and healthier communities through that.
What could someone watching us talk right now, learning about Special Olympics for the first time or learning more about them through you, they want to help, what can they do to further the endeavors of Special Olympics Tennessee?
I'd say probably the biggest need is probably coaches and access to facilities.
Which sounds super fun.
Oh, it is fun. It is fun.
So say I don't know, I'm training for the half marathon right now. So say I'm a runner. Is that something you could use a coach?
Sure. We actually, the marathon is one of our, not here in the state of Tennessee, but on a national, international level, the marathon is one of our events. So to be able to train athletes to run a marathon or to train for a marathon, or even train alongside them, coach them just to run track, yes, we could certainly use some good track coaches.
And is there any sport that's off limits? I mean, or yoga, so forth?
My grandsons are very supportive of their Uncle Matthew, and they're both wrestlers. So
nice.
they think we should start wrestling. But, that's one sport that is a little high risk, so, that is off limits. We don't do that. But we do offer, on an international basis, 23 different sports. So it's hard to find one that we don't offer. Some of them maybe not so on the local communities, but it just depends on how the local programs are structured as to what they can offer.
You mentioned your son Matthew. Tell me about Matthew.
Oh gosh, where do I start? Matthew's a unique individual, as each athlete is. He has his own gifts. He started participating in Special Olympics when he was 8 years old. He didn't have a choice because I was coaching. So he would go along with us, and we would go to basketball games. He would travel with us with the basketball team. Started training in gymnastics, and that was his first sport, was gymnastics, and became a pretty good gymnast. It's funny because we were talking about this the other day, and someone asked him about gymnastics, and he said he didn't think he could do the rings anymore. His body structure has changed a bit, but he was pretty good on the rings when he was a little tyke. He loves life. He loves people. He loves participating. I think his favorite sport right now is probably powerlifting.
Powerlifting,
Yeah,
wow.
He's
That takes
excelling.
discipline.
It does take discipline, and it all relates back to that health thing. Is right now he knows that he's training for powerlifting, therefore he has to regulate what he's eating and how much he's eating. And he has to eat the right things to make sure his muscles are in tune with his powerlifting regimen.
That's great.
So yeah.
Do you see athletes your son's age or older mentoring younger athletes through the groups?
All the time.
Nice.
All the time. We have a program called Young Athletes. We were finding on a national level that parents were coming to us and saying, you know, I have a 3-year-old who doesn't really fit into community sports, you know, is really not with the T-ball, he can't get the T-ball, but loves to run and kick. Or I have a 7-year-old that likes to play basketball or, you know, likes to tumble or something like that. So we meaning Special Olympics International, developed a Young Athletes program where it is for athletes, young children between the ages of 2.5 and 7. And it's basically, I would compare it to like a parent and toddler playtime where they develop gross motor skills. They run, they jump, they catch, they throw, they learn turn taking, they learn how to follow instructions, and we look at it as our future athletes.
My name's Adam Germick. I started in Special Olympics 7 years ago. I have an 8-year-old daughter. She was born with a rare genetic disorder. So I worked in sports marketing, and I wanted to marry kind of sports marketing and nonprofit and also support my daughter. So that was my move to Special Olympics. Today is our state summer games, our largest event of the year. We have about 1,200 athletes competing in 7 sports. So as you can see behind me, we have our track and field competition going on all day, and our young athletes are kicking off. We have a young athletes competition. We also have bocce, unified bocce, softball throw, mini javelin, swimming, powerlifting, unified volleyball, and tennis. So our young athletes are age 7.5 and below, and it's more of a motor skills building exercise where they learn balance and they jump and run and do obstacles, kick balls, work on coordination, and the goal is after that training that they'll become one of our athletes when they turn 8 years old and be competing out here on the same fields as all of our other athletes. Being a parent of an athlete and knowing so many of our parents throughout the state of Tennessee, you know, the opportunity for their child and for my child to compete in a sports activity and be part of a team is incredible. You know, just what they get out and seeing the growth from those athletes and you know, as a parent to your child is unbelievable. We've had many parents say, you know, my child never spoke before Special Olympics. My child didn't have a job before Special Olympics, and it's just allowing them a voice to get into the community and to be part of the community and go out and really find their inner strength and their heart and their passion for life.
My name is Shamika Thomas, and I'm connected to Special Olympics through my son, Mikhail Thomas, who's an athlete. I was a gen ed teacher that taught biology. And next thing you know, when I had Mikhail, we knew something was wrong. And at that point, I stopped working. I actually went back to school to get a master's in special education for Mikhail. I believe in allowing him to be himself. And he's gonna learn, because the harsh reality is my husband and I cannot be with Mikhail forever. But it's our job now to make sure that Mikhail is able to be involved, able to take care of himself, able to tell people his wants and his desires. I love the theme this year of inclusion, because I'm big on, we have to start teaching our babies. Mikhail is 9, but if you start off as early as 2 and 3 with teaching them how to include with people and interact with people, by the time they get 15 and 16, they can socially interact. They can hold down jobs. But if we do not include them, people do not become aware. They fear they fear the unknown. And you just have to make them aware, but the sooner you start, the better. The better it is. It gives me so much joy when I drop Mikhail off at school, and the kids are like, "What's up, Mikhail?" And they're dapping Mikhail and high-fiving. I'm like, who is this kid? And it's kids that's in the 4th and 5th grade, and my baby's just in 3rd grade. And they see nothing at his school when they know he's here at track. They announced it Friday that, Thursday, that he was going to compete today. So it's exciting. They were like, wear your shirt on Monday, wear your medals. Like, it gives them joy to know, and it gives me joy that they recognize him and that they don't see him as a kid with autism. Like, even for him with autism, he's the class helper. He helps the kids who can't feed themselves. He wants to push the kids in a wheelchair. I always teach Mikhail that there's someone else that has a disability that's, I don't want to say worse than yours, but doesn't allow them to do what you can do. You can walk, you can talk, you can jump, you can see, but there's someone with a disability that can't. So be thankful of the gifts that God gave you, that he didn't make you to the point where you couldn't do those things, and help those who can't do those things, which is what Special Olympics does. It socially promotes people of all disabilities to come together, join friendships, lifelong friendships. It tells us as adults how blessed we are that, because you can go outside and get hit by a car or go to sleep and wake up and have a disability. So it allows us to be thankful, allows us to give us opportunity to give back to those who do need help.
One of the words that I saw on the Special Olympics Tennessee website that stood out to me, not because it was in bold font or anything, it wasn't, it was just one of the words like the rest of the words on the page, was courage.
Courage. Mm-hmm.
That through sport and social interaction and teamwork, literally teamwork, and competition, one of the goals is developing courage in an athlete.
Mm-hmm. Courage is a big part of what we do. That is. Our oath actually is based on the courage of the gladiators walking into the arena. That's where our oath comes from, is some of those words that they would say before they entered the arena. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt.
Wow.
Yeah.
Words to live by for every person watching this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it states it perfectly. It's not about the winning. It's about being the brave. Mm-hmm. About being brave, doing something that is outside of your comfort zone, and being brave and being successful. There's to me, and I like to describe Special Olympics as people don't understand the bigness of Special Olympics. It's not just about running on track. It's not about swimming in the swim pool. It's so much more than that. It's not just about winning medals and ribbons. The bigness of Special Olympics is the personal gain that one gets, the growth of the athlete. And I'm not talking in size, I'm talking about personal growth, personal development. We have so many opportunities, everything from sports and training to our healthy athletes like we talked about, to our young athletes that we talked about. And another component is our athlete leadership programs, where we actually train our athletes to be public speakers, to be leaders in the community. We have athletes that serve on our board of directors. We have athletes that serve on our young professional board. We have athletes that serve on our state torch run committee. Our torch run is our law enforcement program, where law enforcement agencies from all over, this is a worldwide program also, but here in Tennessee, law enforcement agencies from across the state are part of Special Olympics, and they support Special Olympics through their different efforts, whether it be running the torch in at opening ceremonies,
I see.
or participating in fundraising events, or working with athletes, speaking engagements, things like that. But so our athletes are becoming leaders, not just on the sports field, but also in their communities. Our athletes vote. Our adult athletes are voters.
Sure.
Our adult athletes are community members. They participate in church activities and community activities. We're teaching them to be leaders and leaders of the future alongside their non-disabled peers. Special Olympics is not just an event. It's life. And it is life that changes one's perspective of others. Once we give somebody the opportunity to be themselves, to do something outside of the little box that they've been put into, it changes not just them, their community, but it changes the world. And that's what we're about. We're here to change the world. Choose to include.
Choose to include.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. And choose to have yourself be included.
That's true. Put yourself in that spot. Yep.
Joe, we have come to my favorite part of the interview process. It may be a bit of surprise to you, but it is the speed round of questions, just like the game we would have played when we were kids, where I ask you something and the first answer that comes to your mind, just let it fly and we'll go on to the next one.
It's kind of like those one-word things.
Doesn't have to be one word.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't limit yourself, my friend. Anything
Okay.
that's in there, you let it roll. Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Speed round with Joanne Drumright. Name 3 team sports in Special Olympics.
Volleyball, basketball, flag football.
Flag football, interesting. Name 3 individual sports in Special Olympics.
Powerlifting, aquatics, tennis.
Wow. What do you see in the faces of Special Olympic athletes in training and competing?
Success, joy, and courage.
Nice. What do you see in the faces of families of Special Olympic athletes while they're training and competing?
Joy, thankfulness, and a place to be.
Oh, beautiful. What word or phrase do you say more than any other at work?
I might not be able to repeat that. No, I'm kidding. Make it happen.
Nice. And I'm betting somebody jumps and makes it happen when you say that too. What word or phrase do you say more than any other to Special Olympic athletes?
You can do this.
Nice. And I bet they can. What mark do you want Special Olympics Tennessee to make on our community?
Change.
In what way?
I want to be more unified. I want to be more inclusive. And I want our community to be accepting of each and every individual.
Awesome. The last question for you, Joe, is what is your website?
www.specialolympics.tn.org.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
It's our Nashville.